Hello, this is our documentary over the arms and armor of the Middle Ages. It's by Max Brown, Graham Bagby, Restaurant Whiskey, and Sheldon Simon. Um, First off, here we're going to talk about the early weapons of the Middle Ages, often used by knights and not just irregular soldiers. They were hired by landowners to protect their lands. A common thing associated with knights is the sword. Um, it was not so much used in battle as it was used as a dueling weapon, but it saw its use in battle as a close hand-to-hand weapon. And then the next weapon is the axe, which is used in very close quarters for marches towards each other, and you'd be able to be pulled out and chop at enemies close by. Um, and then the next weapon is the pike, which is used in sieges to basically have an advantage of distance between a person and not to put yourself in danger while using it. It would give soldiers a little bit of space. In the early armor of the Middle Ages, mail was used to protect weak spots in the body, such as the neck, chest, and legs, but did not cover the whole body. Um, it was a little bit more common on just regular foot soldiers, but was mostly used by knights, which were the main soldiers at the time. And then plated armor. It Armor evolved as weapons evolved, and basically this is what resulted in heavier weaponry. And then the next one is the light armor, which was used in the age of longbows and crossbows, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But it was used because basically they were so powerful that it was no use in even wearing armor at the time. Next, we will be talking about the early castles in the Middle Ages. They started off as wooden structures, not built to really last a siege, and made it easy for it to be sieged upon and raided. And then eventually, around 1100 AD, they turned to stone, having moats, making it harder for infantry soldiers to be able to attack, and mostly they had to wait it out when sieging a castle. And then with the evolution of weaponry, eventually castles were built so it could be bows could be shot at them to protect them, and that's castles.
Next, what we'll be talking about is the age of the long crossbows, which revolutionized warfare, making it a long distance, what we're more accustomed to today with our guns, and it would make it easier to siege castles and would make warfare a lot larger as any common soldier could wield the bow, and knights would begin to vanish and not appear so much on the battlefield, but more of just jousting and dueling. This first video clip here will show not completely accurate, but of what a crossbow would fire like. Basically, one person could fire it. It had a much slower reload, not reload time, but rebolting it than the longbow, and it would fire bolts, and it was more effective at close range. But the setback was its long time to reload the weapon, and it was very powerful though. And then the longbow, as you see here, fired arrows, and it was you could fire it from afar. It was a very versatile weapon, and later we'll talk about a English battle that they're outnumbered in, and that they were able to win because of the longbow. But its powerfulness and the long range that it was able to made it a dominant weapon on the battlefield. So it began to take over warfare from then on out. Shortly after the longbow and crossbow were invented, knights began to disappear mostly on the battlefield, and it's mostly because their lack of mobility and able to shoot a bow itself, and the bow's deadliness towards their armor, which would do nothing against it, basically led to their extinction. And here on this next picture, you'll see what would happen to a knight on a battlefield after bows were invented. It was basically you know, they were useless out there on the battlefield, and it began. You would have more men able to fight than after, and not just exclusively knights, and it changed warfare forever. Lastly, here is the Battle of Agincourt between the French and English. It was basically the marked ending of any use of infantry weapon like swords, pikes, and axes, as displayed earlier, and it was won by the greatly outnumbered British, who used longbows and were skilled at using them. And it basically was the end of this battle. Was near the end of the Middle Ages and marked a new time in warfare throughout the whole world. This battle essentially changed the world in fighting forever.